WNST. Out amongst the raindrops, this guy and I sat out in the rain, but I'll take it every time on a 63-degree day where all the colors of the rainbow were represented in so many ponchos and rain gear out there. I saw Dennis Koulatsos out there with his little floppy hat on, trying to stay dry, running between the raindrops, but it's easy to take when you win 47-3. Correct, Dennis?
Absolutely. You know, I'm glad I went. I was on the fence about going, Nestor, but one of my buddies said I was soft if I didn't go.
Come on, what are you going to melt? Come on, man. You're from Essex. You're from the old country. You're Greek. You're tough. Come on, man.
Cannot put my name and soft in the word soft in the same sentence. And I was very glad that once I got there, everything was great. And although the crowd was sparse, I thought it was a very enthusiastic Ravens crowd. And it was, it was a lot of fun. Opening day. And what it was a near shutout, right? And putting up 47 points against the Bills. I had a blast hanging out with my guys here at the M&T Bank Stadium.
Well, I can't, I can't speak for everybody as to getting wet. I got wet. My wife got wet. It was just our hope to not get ill, not catch something because I got to run off to Cincinnati on Thursday night. But for the minute I got in the seat, and it feels comfortable to be back out there again. But certainly seeing good football and seeing Joe Flacco throw the ball 30 times in the first half, be off the field. If you could ever order a blowout, and I know we talked with our fingers crossed a little bit last week, but the season's the most important thing, and winning in Cincinnati, you only get one chance to do that, and to do it on short rest. And look, we'll talk at length about everything that went right on Sunday, but the big part that went right for me was not just winning in the way they won, but giving themselves a chance to win this Thursday, which is the toughest assignment, I think, in sports, to go 3 days on the road in the National Football League and try to win a division game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the best thing, I didn't hear of any significant injuries that any of our players suffered. So to be healthy, and the other part of it is too, they were pulling starters, I guess, at the start of the second half, and so the starters didn't play a full 60 minutes. That's another thing, another positive that came out of the game. They were able to rest their starters to get them ready for this Thursday night matchup against the Bengals. So I thought that was another huge positive that came out of this game.
All right, let's go with some observations. Dennis Koulatsos joins us from Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Of course, you can join our text service to get all the breaking news, all the injuries, anything that's going to happen in the offseason. Sign up on the front of WNST.net as well. You'll always be in it. Dennis will be here from 3 until 5 on Thursday, getting you ready for the game. Luke and I will be in Cincinnati. We'll be checking in with Dennis, of course. Just global observations for you on what's better about the team this year, other than the fact that the Bills stunk and Nathan Peterman or whatever. But it's very clear this is a much better football team and a much deeper football team.
Yeah, Nestor, we commented that this was a younger, faster, deeper football team, or so they seemed in the offseason. It seemed like our second string was much better than the other teams, the other 5 opponents we've had in the offseason second string. And it was more of the same that bled right into the opening game against the Bills. A Bills team that made the playoffs a year ago, a Bills team that has a well-respected head coach, Sean McDermott. They did not look prepared. I don't know about you, but I was shocked about the Ravens' game plan. I thought they would have a run-heavy scheme. I think the Bills thought the Ravens would come out in a run-heavy scheme, but the fact that they came out passing, and that you like to say Joe Flacco was slinging the pill all over the place and not being real selective in terms of who he threw it to. Where he spread the ball out evenly and equally amongst the wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. That's what really shocked me the most, that they came out throwing, and they just kept throwing and kept putting up points on the board, again, against a well-respected Buffalo Bills head coach.
Dennis Koulatsos is our guest. You can find him out on Twitter at SSV on WNST, and, of course, on Thursdays and Sundays around here as well. The Flacco thing is 9 months now since we lost to Cincinnati, and he went from maligned to drafted and he's going to get replaced to brooding because he didn't comment on it to coming back looking fit, looking like the back is there. From the minute he started throwing the ball in June, it was very obvious he was the better quarterback. All of that has gone away from the first day of camp, saying, I plan on playing well, and you guys won't be talking about that. Well, Lamar Jackson went out and played a half of football on Sunday against the worst team in the National Football League, and I think it's very, very obvious how far away he is from being a winning, starting National Football League quarterback. And I'm not going to, throw the dirt on it and say he'll never be that, But boy, oh boy, I've had my questions about it from the beginning and seeing it. I think he's an exciting player. I think it's flashy. I think it's wonderful. But I think there's a long, long curve for the notion that Joe Flacco won't be the quarterback around here for the next couple of years.
Well, let's start with the offensive line, Nestor. The offensive line was very solid. It gave Joe Flacco a lot of time to find his open targets. So very nice to see those guys gel together and able to pass block against the Buffalo Bills. Joe Flacco looked solid. He was able to set his feet. He looked mobile. He looked very athletic. He looked very healthy. And Lamar Jackson was given the luxury of time, the gift of time. He had all that time in the second half to acclimate himself to the speed of an NFL game, the speed of a starting NFL defense. And I thought it was wonderful that this young man can be assimilated slowly into the game. He had his moments. He had a nice pass across the middle to one of our tight ends, I believe, and had a nice dynamic run down the left sideline. He almost scored. But this was almost a perfect start to the season. Couldn't have scripted it any better because of all those reasons.
Cincinnati on Thursday night, Dennis. This has always been a trip me up. It's always been a tough game. I think the short rest isn't good. And beyond that, and I've told everybody this week, and Luke, I came down from the upper deck wet. I went into the press box and I sat down with Luke and through halftime. And once the third quarter started, I was scoreboard watching, and I was far more interested in the other games than I was our game, quite even Lamar Jackson. So I retired back to the wall where all the games are in the media lounge, and I settled in on Cincinnati and Indianapolis. I settled in on Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and I wound up watching a ton of the second half of both of those games. It's fascinating to see the Bengals come back from 2 touchdowns down. I think it's fascinating to see the Browns come back the way they did, and that the Steelers couldn't win that game in overtime. And I know we have a shorter overtime, but it is really stepped up what we're going to be doing for scoreboard watching, and I think how competitive this division's going to be this year. For the first time in a long, long time, I think we have 4, while not equally matched teams, I think all the games that these 4 teams play are going to be very, very competitive, and I think this is going to be a little mix of somewhere between 6 and 10 wins for all of these teams, instead of what we usually get, we had last year, where one team wins 13 and another one can't win any.
Yeah, and I think the Le'Veon Bell situation in Pittsburgh is huge. Le'Veon Bell is one of the top 3 backs in the league. He may be the best back in the league just because of the threat he presents to the defense on third down and in the passing game. This is something that James Conner can't give him. I know the kid had 192 total yards yesterday, but Le'Veon Bell is a special generational type of a player. And by him not being there, it changes that entire offense. It changes how the defenses play this team, and they take away certain weapons from them. It makes them a little bit one-dimensional. So that I don't see Le'Veon Bell coming to the team until the 11th week of the season. I think he's going to sit this thing out. I think he's going to protect his body. I think he's made a business decision. So that's the big drama situation going on in Pittsburgh, and it's got to be a big-time distraction for the team and for the coaching staff. As far as the Bengals are concerned, look, they're dark horse. They have new coordinators on both sides of the ball. They have Bill Lazor on the offense. They have Terrell Austin on defense. And to me, we'll know a lot more about our Baltimore Ravens after the Thursday matchup with the Bengals. They'll be a much more formidable foe than the Buffalo Bills. And let's face it, Marvin Lewis, he's had our number over space and time. So I think we're a lot more curious to see how that's going to play out. We'll know a lot more about this team at the conclusion of this game Thursday night.
Yeah, all their starters on offense, we haven't seen them where Mixon looks right and Ross looks right and Bernard's in there and they're throwing the ball to Eifert. I mean, we've seen Green, we've seen Dalton, and the offensive line's a little better. Certainly the way they came back and stole that football game in Indianapolis after Andrew Luck looked good, it was, a big win for them. And certainly this Pittsburgh-Cleveland thing was fascinating, right? I went down into the locker room. The game was tied. During the Harbaugh press conference, the game was on a little bit, and I spent the whole time in the locker room during the 10 minutes. I came out. I am shocked that somehow, some way, the Steelers didn't find a way to win that. In real years when the Steelers are that formidable team, they win that game every time, even though they got tripped up.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's just a different vibe in the entire division. Look, in week 1, we can't start making arrangements and booking hotel rooms in Atlanta. Certainly not that high, but so again.
Well, I have mine, just so you know. I have mine. Luke and I are there. You come stay with us. Feel free, man.
That's awesome, man. That's wonderful. Atlanta's a beautiful city, and hopefully we can go there and celebrate the Ravens this year. But, look, I love the way the defense looked. Wink Martindale's got different schemes, obviously, than Dean Pease had. I love all the moving parts. I love all the new players in that defense, whether it's Kenny Young or Tim Williams, and still the passion that Terrell Suggs certainly brings to that defense. So, and Tavon Austin, 2 sacks, right? When's the last time that happened by defensive back of the Ravens? I heard you and Luke talking about it this morning. And again, it just, you can't help but be excited about this defense and about the offense. Our good friend Pete DeLutis texted me yesterday. He said, look, it's amazing how much better Joe Flacco looks when he has actual weapons that he can use on his offense, and he looked like a different quarterback.
And Crabtree didn't even catch the ball.
Yeah, it was insane. Crabtree had 2 drops, but had a nice touchdown catch in the corner of the end zone.
That's the story of his career, though. 2 drops, and he makes the catch, makes the Odell Beckham circus thing nobody else can make, right, with the feet.
Right, and let's face it, I mean, it was wet out there. There were balls that would have been ordinarily caught in dry weather. And, for me, I was just shocked that they came out thrown like that. I was like, man, what are they doing? But you know what? It worked. Look at the scoreboard.
Tim Williams, I want him to get more sacks. I'm enjoying the sack celebration there. That was a good one.
Tim Williams, you know what? He is as advertised now in the second year out of Alabama. That's a guy that really bends well around that corner. The guy's explosive, and once he gets to that backfield, there's just no getting away from him. He's a short tackler, and we saw that yesterday. And boy, he's got a high ceiling, and these guys can stay fresh. They can rotate in and out. There's a Darius Smith. There's another guy who spent a lot of the game in the Bills' backfield. So lots to be excited about this version of the Baltimore Ravens.
Dennis Koulatsos joining us here from Coons Ford of Security Boulevard and the SSV on WNST. It will be the official pregame show this Thursday from 3 until 5. Luke and I will be checking in from Cincinnati, getting you ready for the Ravens and the Bengals. We talk about this defense and how many names there are. It's fascinating to me week 1, and my wife's certainly guilty of this, is trying to figure out who the hell all these guys are, right? Like learning their jersey numbers. And 15 catches the ball, and you're like, it was that. Then 86 catches the ball. Everybody in our section was yelling, heap, and we realized it was Nick Boyle. But you get the numbers confused a little bit. That's kind of part of the fun of all of this, right?
Oh, that's a lot of fun, and look, just can't wait to see what this team looks like when Jimmy Smith and Hayden Hurst come back, and Willie Henry. There's 3 starters right there, 3 starting players that they really didn't miss yesterday or the other day. So anyway, it's just a lot of fun to watch this team come together, and it's hard not to get too high. I'm trying to remain neutral, but look, hopefully they'll take care of business against Cincinnati, come back home against the Broncos, right? So this is setting up to be a very good season. But again, as I said, we'll know a lot more about this team, about the mettle of this team after they meet the Bengals. And I don't know if it was hard for them not to look ahead to Cincinnati, but they sure didn't play like it, did they?
Well, Thursday night's going to be great, and we're on to a fun season no matter how this goes. Dennis, tell me what's going on out of Coons Ford Security Boulevard. I know you're having a little extra pep in the step. I'm assuming everybody's wearing purple in your showroom this week.
Purple is in, man. That's the beautiful color of royalty, and we're going to wear it Thursday. We'll wear it Friday. We might wear purple jerseys every day. I might put out a memo and just let everybody wear all kind of purple gear.
You have a Lamar, right? That's your jersey, your new one, right?
I have a Lamar Jackson, and I'm going to stick to my prediction. I still think I'll be starting for the Ravens next season. We'll see what happens. Look, that'd be a good problem for them to have if these quarterbacks stay healthy and do great things. And I was also glad to see them use Lamar in some trick packages. I think it's something extra that defensive coordinators around the league will have to prepare themselves for. But over here, Coons Ford of Baltimore, look, the sales are great. We had a wonderful weekend, and all of our cars are waterproof, and they all have heating and air conditioning, and they can handle all kind of elements. And Ford Motor Company still out there with 0% for 72 months, supporting us like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of our customers are still coming as a result of that great WNST advertising.
Hey, but by the way, you mentioned all this stuff with the cars. You have one of those James Bond things that's a boat and a car. The kind because when this storm comes up into Bowley's quarters like this week, the storm's going to be something here. I think for everybody this week, right?
Yeah, you might need some vehicle with buoyancy that float, but nothing surprises me. The technology is moving very fast. These cars will be driving themselves pretty soon, and eventually I think they'll be able to come off the ground and hover over the earth like we used to see in the Jetsons. I think we are, if we don't blow ourselves up, Nestor, I think we have a chance to become space people at some point.
Global warming. Coons Ford of Security Boulevard no longer selling Ford cars and trucks, Ford boats. You will have, and submarines we'll have for
Boats,
all that.
Submarines and hovercrafts. They'll be all-purpose, not vehicles, but all-purpose, transportation, modes of transportation.
I'm just holding out for windshield wipers that work at this point. That's going to be very, very important this week. Dennis Koulatsos, Thursday night, the SSV on WNST 3 until 5. Then we'll see you on Thursday from Cincinnati. Luke and I will be eating chili as we chat with you, okay?
Hey, it sounds great.
Red Zone on Sunday as well. I know how much Dennis loves that as well. Don't forget, you get on our WNST text service brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. You will get the breaking news first. And the breaking news for me is I'm going to Cincinnati on Thursday. I'm coming home on Friday. I'm going to build an ark. I'm going to watch it rain, and I'm going to wait till Sunday to watch the Red Zone. That's my week planned out. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis drops by once a week, and I drop by his show on Thursday from 3 until 5. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.